Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor and I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share What's for Dinner videos just like this every Sunday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. Cooking for your family doesn't have to be hard. You can cook really simple stuff and still get dinner on the table. And I am a big fan of quick and easy meals. So if you like those kinds of recipes, I hope you will subscribe down below. And you can come back next Sunday and see the next week. And on Tuesdays, I share grocery hauls, which show all the food that I bought for the week. And then I usually share some kind of other video later in the week, like a vlog or another bonus haul or some sort of other recipe video. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night we had Stroganoff, which is basically hamburger helper stroganoff. Nothing wrong with hamburger helper, but I don't usually buy it because I feel like it's pretty much as easy to make at home with the ingredients that I already have on hand, like the seasonings and the noodles and whatnot. So I don't buy hamburger helper anymore, but I grew up on hamburger helper, so any of those hamburger helper style meals are kind of nostalgic for me. So I'm starting off by browning 1 pound of ground beef with some salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, rosemary, and then if you have the Trader Joe's umami seasoning or another umami seasoning, add that in. I almost forgot, and you'll see me add it in later, like when I add in the pasta, but because I don't like mushrooms, I love the flavor that the umami seasoning adds to this since I'm not adding mushrooms to it. So then I'm just going to brown up the ground beef until it's done, and then once it's done, drain off any grease. And then I add in about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce and some minced garlic. I'm just using the frozen minced garlic because it's easy and I didn't have to cut it up. You can use jarred, whatever you want. And then I let that cook for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then I'm going to add in 1 cup of beef broth, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of water, and 4 cups of egg noodles. And for my beef broth, I like to use Knorr beef bouillon. That's what I use for broth anytime, whether it's chicken broth or beef broth. I'm going to use the Knorr chicken bouillon or the Knorr beef bouillon. And then you saw I added in that umami seasoning, and then I'm just going to make sure that my pasta is covered with the liquid and then bring that to a boil. And then once it comes to a boil, I like to reduce the heat to a medium low, cover it and simmer it for about 5 to 10 minutes or until those egg noodles are done. And then you can just stir in like half a cup to a cup of sour cream, whatever you want to your liking. Taste it, see if you need to add any more salt and pepper, and that is it. It's pretty easy. Definitely a little bit more work than regular hamburger helper, but if you have everything on hand, it's pretty simple to make, and it tastes like so much better than the box stuff. So then I always serve stroganoff with a can of peas on the side and some buttered bread because that's how I had it growing up. So that's how I continue to serve it. And that was it for Friday night. Saturday, I made some wonton soup, which was really good because Lily was still sick this day, and so that broth really helped her throat. So I'm starting off with some olive oil in the bottom of my pot, and then I'm adding in some of the white parts of a green onion, some carrots, and some minced garlic. And I'm just going to cook that for about a minute to get that garlic fragrant and those onions a little bit tender. And then I'm going to add in a bunch of broth. I'm using a carton of the miso ginger broth from Trader Joe's. It is delicious. And then I filled that up with water and added that in. And then I added in a couple teaspoons of the Knorr chicken bouillon. And then I just brought this to a boil and let it simmer until my carrots were tender. Then I added in 1 bag of the Trader Joe's mini chicken cilantro wontons, and just let those continue to simmer in that broth for about 5 minutes. You'll know that they're done when they all float to the surface. On the side of the soup, I usually do egg rolls for everyone, but I realized there was only 3 left in the freezer, so I let Andy and the kids have them. I really enjoy the soup, anyway, so I just ate quite a bit of the soup. I like to top mine with some of the chili onion crunch from Trader Joe's and some green onions. Everybody else just eats theirs as is, but I like a little bit of spice in it. It is delicious. We love the broth. Definitely recommend trying it if you've got a Trader Joe's near you and you can pick up those ingredients. Sunday night, I made this Instant Pot beef rice pilaf, which I did make before, but when we made it, Andy said he would like to try it with ground beef instead of stew meat, so I decided to give that a go this time. I did have to adapt the recipe quite a bit, so down below I will have what I did listed out as well as a link to the original recipe. So I'm starting off by just browning up 1 pound of ground beef in my Instant Pot on the saute function. And then once that was about halfway cooked through, I added in 1 large onion that I diced and 2 medium-sized carrots that I also diced. And then also my seasoning, which was some pepper, garlic powder, paprika, and a steak seasoning. And I just continued to cook that until the vegetables started to soften and my ground beef was fully cooked all the way through. Then I added in 1/2 cup of tomato sauce, 1.5 cups of beef broth, and mixed that together and added a bay leaf as well. And then I topped this with 1.5 cups of white rice. And I did not mix in the rice. I just kind of pressed it down into the liquid to make sure it was all fully covered. Then I put the Instant Pot lid on this, make sure it was set to sealing, and then cook this on manual pressure for 8 minutes and then let it do a natural release for 15. After the 15 minutes, I just went in and stirred it up, removed the bay leaf, and this was ready to serve. I just served it as is. That's how I did it the last time. And it's got the vegetables in there, got carrot and onion, and then you've got your rice and your meat. So a full meal, and it's filling and delicious. I prefer it with the stew meat, but everybody else really loved it with the ground beef as well. I just really like the chunks of stew meat because when you've got ground beef in the rice, in every bite you're going to have ground beef, but when you've got stew meat you can get some bites of just rice and some bites with meat. I don't know, it's probably just a weird texture thing for me, but yeah, it was really good. Monday night we had shrimp and grits. This is a really simple and easy recipe and we love it, and I've shared it many times here on my channel, so I did not feel like pulling out the camera and showing it step by step this night. So I will leave a video link down below where I made it as well as the recipe that I follow. Tuesday night I made some air fryer chicken thighs. I love doing skin on chicken in the air fryer. The skin gets so crispy. So here I've got some chicken thighs in a bowl. I've drizzled them with some olive oil and then I add on a bunch of different seasonings. I did some onion salt, garlic powder, paprika, lemon pepper, Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. I think that was it. Toss it around, make sure everything is coated really well, and then I'm going to put them on the air fryer basket, and then these go in the air fryer skin side down. I do them on 375, about 10 minutes with the skin side down, and then I flip them over and do them about another 10 to 15 minutes with the skin side up until they reach the proper internal temperature. And as I said, the skin gets so crispy and browned and just, it's so good. To go with it, I made some creamy mac and cheese. It's a stovetop recipe that actually has its own video on my channel from way back. It's equal parts milk and noodles, and then you just bring it to a simmer on the stove. I will link that down below. I had a can of green beans and a can of fried apples on the side as well, and this was delicious. Wednesday night we had Salisbury steak. So in a big bowl I've got my ground beef, and to that I'm going to add some breadcrumbs, ketchup, mustard, Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, onion powder, and salt and pepper. Once I get all of that in there, I'm going to get in there with my hands and just mash it together, mix it together really well. And my camera actually ended up dying, and I didn't realize it, and I had beef hands, so Once I got it all mixed together, then I started pattying it out. I am actually using more beef than the recipe. I was using 1.5 pounds, so I did adjust it and add more of everything. So I ended up getting 6 patties. If you are using 1 pound, you're only going to end up with 4 patties. So just patty it out, and then I'm going to heat up a little bit of oil in my skillet, and then once that's hot, I added in my Salisbury steak, and I like to cook them about 5 minutes per side, only flipping them the one time. While my patties were cooking, I got my gravy ready. Since I do have more meat, I am mixing together 3 packets of gravy. I did 2 packets of brown gravy and 1 packet of au jus, and then 3 cups of hot water, whisked it together really well, and then add in 1.5 teaspoons of ketchup and 3/4 of a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and just whisk that together really well so it's all combined. Once my patties had cooked on either side for 5 minutes, they were not fully cooked all the way through, and that's okay. We're going to go ahead and add in our gravy mix and let that just simmer and thicken up, and it will continue to cook our patties. And then you know they're done when you check the internal temperature of your patties, or you cut one open and you see that they are fully cooked. I just like to spoon some of that gravy over the patties while they continue to simmer in the sauce for a little bit. For me, this took like 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. And then I like to serve this over some mashed potatoes. I made those in the Instant Pot. I can have that recipe linked down below for you guys, and then a can of corn on the side. Finally, the last meal of the week is some sausage tortellini soup. This is a family favorite, and I make it multiple times every year. And it even has its own recipe video, which I will link down below, because that'll make it easier for you to go back to if you want to make this recipe. So I'm starting off by just browning 1 pound of sausage with some seasoning. I'm doing some oregano, parsley, dried chives, pepper. I even did a little bit of onion, salt, and garlic powder this time. I don't usually add those, but I did it anyway this time. And you're just going to cook that up until the sausage is fully browned. And then if you have any excess grease, you can drain that off. Then I added in 6 cups of water, and then I'm going to add in 6 teaspoons of the Knorr chicken bouillon to turn that into chicken broth, 1 can of evaporated milk, and then you can add in some more of the seasonings, the oregano, parsley, dried chive, just to give it a little bit more flavor. And then we're going to bring that to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you can lower the heat and simmer for about 15 minutes. And then all you have to do is add in 1 bag of cheese tortellini and cook that for about 3 to 4 minutes, and you'll know that it's done when it floats to the top, and then this is ready to serve. I was disappointed because this night I didn't realize we didn't have any Parmesan cheese. Usually I like to serve this with a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top, but it was still good without it, and we just had some crusty Italian bread on the side to dip in there. And that is it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope that you got some new meal ideas. If you did, let me know which ones you plan on trying down below in the comments. And let me know that you made it here all the way to the end by leaving me a smiley face emoji down there as well. I hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend and a great week, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!